Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Dr. Colin Zhu, and thank you so much for being here with us. This is the Thrive Bites podcast, and welcome to season 5. Here we talk about 3 things: plant-powered living, enhancing emotional resilience, and creating a thriving mindset. And I interview the most passionate guests here, ranging from physicians to coaches to dietitians to entrepreneurs. And my hope is to give you really informative and high-valued conversations. So please follow us here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and wherever you hear your podcasts. Come on in, and I can't wait to see you inside. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Thrive Bites Podcast. I'm Dr. Colin Zhu, and today I'll be interviewing Chef Dora Stone, and she is a chef, recipe developer, and creator of Dora's Table. And we have a wonderful, wonderful conversation, especially how do we make Mexican and other Hispanic, food more plant-based and more vegan. And wonderful conversation about where she was born and grew up. What is the current Hispanic vegan lifestyle and trend nowadays? And she's going to show us a demo of one of her favorite lunch recipes. So you don't want to miss this, and I'll see you inside. Okay, guys, well, welcome to another episode of Thrive Bites Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Colin Zhu, and thank you so much for being here with us. You could have been anywhere in the world, and you decided to spend just a few precious moments of your time to be with us today, and I greatly appreciate it. So today we have a fabulous guest. Her name is Chef Dora Stone, and she is a chef, recipe developer, and she's her own photographer at dorastable.com and Mi Mero Mole. And she was born and raised in Mexico and is a graduate of CIA, not the federal government, but the Culinary Institute of America in New York. And she adopted a vegan diet to take control of her health. And she's very passionate about teaching others about the benefits of a plant-based lifestyle, and is also the author of Vegan Tamales Unwrapped, a step-by-step guide to sweet and savory tamales. And she's been featured in several publications, including but not least Parents Latina Magazine, Buzzfeed, Vegnews Magazine, Entrepreneur.com. And she's worked extensively with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine and the development of their app, and also is a contributor for Dr. Neil Barnard's book, The Vegan Starter Kit. And she's bilingual. And without further ado, we are going to say hi to Chef Dora. Hello.
Hey, everybody. It's so great to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time out to be with here today. I am super, super stoked. Thank you again, Dora.
I'm so happy to be here.
First things first, where are you calling from?
I am in Del Rio, Texas, which is right on the border with Mexico, where I was born in Acuña, which is right across the border where I am from right now.
Okay, awesome. And how did your family came over? What was the major deciding factor?
Well, actually, my family is still in Mexico. My parents live there. Yeah. It's, if you're not familiar with the border, it's like a big mishmash, the American side, the Mexican side, and there's like a bridge that divides us, but we're kind of like a big city. My parents have a restaurant in Mexico. I live on the other side of the border, but I came to the United States to go to school, to go to the CIA.
Nice. Awesome. So food brought you over.
Yes.
I love it. I think that food is, in addition to music and arts, is, one of those few things that really bridges cultures and people from every background and every color together. And hopefully it continues to be one of those avenues that still binds us. And I think in a world that we currently live in, and as we move forward, we definitely need more uniting. We definitely need more healing, and we definitely need more togetherness. So, so number one, thank you for carving out that portion of life to doing all this. I think it's a huge contribution.
Yeah, food is such an important part of the Mexican community and really all of Latino communities. It's like you said, it brings us together. It helps us share our life experience, our memories. It's such a big part of who we are. So I am so excited to be able to share that, with all your listeners today.
Yeah. So I love hearing about the origin story of my guests and how they got from point A to point B, and where they're currently the most creative, passionate, and love contributing in their own way to the world. So how, as a Mexican, as a Latina, how did you get into the vegan lifestyle?
I went vegan about 7 7 years ago, and it was because of a health problem. And I had a health problem, and I kept going to doctors and doctors and doctors, and everybody would just give me a different medication. And it was medication after medication, and it became like a huge cycle where my symptoms would improve, and then they would stop improving, and then they would switch me to a different medication. And at that time, I was living in California, and I had a friend who told me I should watch the documentary Forks Over Knives. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to because I was working as a chef, and I loved meat and I loved cheese, and I knew that if I watched it and it like convinced me, I was gonna try it at least. And I just didn't want to. But my friend was so insistent. Like, I would see her about once a week because we were in like a little group together. And every time I saw her, she would say, "Did you watch it?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't watch it." "Did you watch it?" I'm like, "No, I didn't watch it." I finally had to watch it because she wouldn't leave me alone.
Oh.
And yeah, and my suspicions were correct. I watched it and I was like, well, I at least have to try it. At least I have to try it.
Yeah.
And I did. I tried it a couple of times. It was very hard for me. I would try it, and then I would go back, and I would try it again, and I would go back. And then for a while, I was like, well, I don't see any improvement. I'm just going to go back to eating meat. And then I did it for a period of about 40 days. And that's when I began to see changes in my health. And then I was like, I have to stay vegan. I have to, because my health just improved greatly. And then, after that, once you're in, I feel like the vegan world, then you really learn about factory farming and the environment, and it just kind of all the dots connect together. But for me, the first step was for health reasons.
So I know the CIA hosts this annual conference with the Harvard Public School of Health, Healthy Kitchens, Healthy Lives in St. Helena, right next to Napa. I think I attended it maybe back in 2013. And I know Forks Over Knives came out 2 years prior to that. And, to me, it was awesome. It was kind of my second time, because I went to the Natural Gourmet Institute. And that was my second time of being iterated in terms of doctors and the culinary world actually coming together and actually having that iteration. So for me, it was not just a light bulb, it was like floodlights. It was like floodlights. You're like, okay, I can't turn back now. So I'm curious, were you able to get off of all the medications once you transitioned to a vegan lifestyle?
Yes. I think it took about 6 months of doing it, without any cheating. Without any cheating. And then after that, I was able to go off all of my medications.
Nice. Did you thank your friend, later on?
Oh my goodness. Then later on, she got into like keto, and I'm like, are you serious?
Oh, yeah, like, I'm not going to follow you on this, So being that, you come from, a Mexican culture, Mexican background, I'm in Southern California. I worked in LA. I worked in OC, huge Mexican population over here. You've lived in California. How easy or how challenging is it, to transition and make vegan plant-based fare?
For me, it was difficult in the beginning, but because I feel there wasn't as many resources 7 years ago as there is now. And I actually didn't even think about doing Mexican food vegan until my mother was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And I had recently, I work with the Physicians Committee, and Dr. Neil Barnard has a book about reversing type 2 diabetes with a plant-based diet. So I was trying to get her to, go plant-based, because I was like, well, you have got type 2 diabetes. And I kept trying to feed her, she would say, weird things, which was tofu. Because I love tofu. I love tofu. And I tried to feed it to her once, and she thought it was the most disgusting thing in the whole wide world. She's like, never give this to me again. Till this day, she still has not tried tofu again.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. But she looked at me and she's like, why don't you just make it Mexican? And I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah. So from that moment on, I was like, of course. So now it became my mission to veganize all of Mexican food, which, it's not such a reach, because the basis of the cuisine itself is beans, it's corn, it's tomatoes, it's chiles. You just have to go back, pre-colonization, which brought in, pigs and dairy and all that flour and all that stuff. So that's when I started veganizing Mexican recipes. But now, if you were going to transition now, there are so many resources, so many good like vegan Mexican, these social accounts like TikTok, on Instagram, that you could do it. It's not, before you couldn't get, like, it was crazy. Where am I going to find, like a weird nutritional yeast? It was like, who has nutritional yeast? Like super, like health food stores. And now it's at my like Walmart, So I think right now it's completely different from 7 years ago. There's so many more resources. But as a Mexican, it did take a little bit of a change in my mindset, because I was so accustomed to being like, I have my meat, I have my tortilla, I have my rice and my beans. And in the beginning, it was like, that's it, just like rice and beans and a vegetable. Like, it did take a little bit of a change of mindset.
Yeah. And beans, I'm glad that you said beans because, I consider it a superfood. If you look at the blue zones, the longest living people on Earth, it's something that's shared, in all of them, I am curious though, like how has the vegan trend or plant-based trend picked up over time? You mentioned supermarkets, here we have El Superior, we have Northgate, big Hispanic, marketplaces. When you go to conventional, traditional ones, you do see specific aisles for like organic, you have, other plant-based, aisles that you see. Has that been adopted in supermarkets? Have you noticed it? Fast foods, changing a little bit, menus changing a little bit. Like, what have you seen over time?
I definitely, because I believe right now it's like super popular with the, the advent of the plant-based meats, like Beyond Meat and all that stuff. A lot of the fast food places, like the town I live in is a small town, and even like the Burger King has the Beyond Meat burger, and that to me is mind-blowing because here in town I'm probably the only one who orders it, and it's like a maybe like once a year thing. So that for me it has been like, wow, like everybody's at least thinking like, well, maybe like one day a week I'll go plant-based. And in the grocery stores as well, like I mentioned, now you can get nutritional yeast, now you can get TVP. And actually TVP in Mexican grocery stores has always been a popular like meat substitute, but now like you can get all these things that before you couldn't get. I do feel though, especially in the low income communities, it's still very hard to get fresh fruits and vegetables. Like just in the town that I am now, I have like just basic fruits and vegetables. Like there's nothing, if I want to get like specialty produce, like I can't find it here. So I think more processed vegan food is more available, but there's still a little bit ways to go on a more variety of fruits and vegetables, especially in low-income areas.
Yeah, like food access and, that we've seen, over time, the health and racial disparities that we've seen. My next question, and part of it you've already answered, was, how has living a vegan lifestyle impacted, your life? And you had mentioned about your family. If you wanted to share more about that, you may. I'm also curious on how it's impacted your own family and your extended family and the communities surrounding you.
My family, my mother is still, I would say, she's been transitioning for like 4 years. It's just difficult, more culturally than in terms of food and what's available. It's just culturally, we're so tied to our foods. So that, like in my family specifically, I'm still the only one that's fully vegan. But I would say that everybody in my family has gone a little bit more towards plant-based than like before, where it was like meat every day, all day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, there was animal products in it. But I think the biggest change has been, even though they're not fully vegan, they have changed their mindset. Like in the beginning, my parents were like, oh, you don't eat meat? Okay, you have chicken, right? And I'm like, no. but you can have cheese, right? And I'm like, no. And it's like, what are you gonna eat? And now it's completely different. Now, they accept that I've made this change. It's not such a big like cultural shock. Now in Christmas, like I'll bring my batch of tamales and then, somebody else will bring, their own tamales, but everybody eats my tamales. So it really has gone into the fabric of our family, and I really love that. Even though, I wish everybody was vegan, but even though that's not so, they have seen improvement in their health, even with reducing the amount of animal products that they eat.
I'm totally, resonate with that. And being an Asian American, I come from a Chinese background. It's similar, because it's so ingrained that, if you don't eat meat in the Chinese culture, it's more like, where's the sustenance coming from? Where is, the satiety? Where is the, filling, portions of it,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like you, I transitioned in 14. So that was like 8 years ago. And I love meat. I love the taste of it, but I did it also for health reasons and now more so for global sustainability reasons. So you do see this echoing in your own, local communities and extended family members. And I applaud you, for keep going with it, because sometimes it can feel lonely, right?
Yeah, for sure.
My next question to you is, with your mission of Dora's Table, what is the mission and goal of what you want to put out there? For those who don't know you, what are you currently doing and what do you hope to achieve with it?
I think the biggest thing that I always wanted to accomplish with Dora's Table is to get people to at least try it, especially in the Mexican community. It's I live in northern Mexico. I don't live in Mexico, but I was born and raised in northern Mexico, and it's very meat centric. It's very like where the cowboys live, it's like cattle, it's like meat centric. So for my biggest mission was always that, to have them at least try it. If you give it a chance, at least once, like I dare you to try my vegan pozole and say that you don't like it. Or my jackfruit tamales, and then I've taken my jackfruit tamales to Christmas and not said they're vegan, and everybody's like, oh, these are great, they're amazing, and nobody knows they're not vegan. My mission has always been for people to try it. There's so many benefits, it really has enriched my life so much in so many ways. And I know it's hard, and I know everybody has a different life, different situations, different, economic situations, but you can try it. You can try it and maybe it'll change your life. I know it will bring you benefits. So that's really for my community, I want to share all these amazing things with them, all these amazing benefits that I've experienced from living this way. And they just have to try it once, just once.
And in terms of cost, I'm sure you would agree, like it's actually a lot cheaper to eat, and you don't necessarily need to get everything organic. You don't have to shop at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. A lot, especially the Hispanic markets, produce is like so abundant, and it's a lot of it is a lot cheaper, especially in terms of health dollars. You're saving an emergency room costs, right? You're saving future repeated doctor visits of needing to refill medications, right? So at least in my opinion, cost is a lot cheaper. So
yeah, and you can see it. My rule when I'm developing recipes is if I can't find the ingredient here, which is a small town on the border of Texas, then, maybe I can do a substitution. Yeah, you could buy fake meat. Yeah, you could buy, a nutritional yeast to something, but you don't have to. Rice, beans, vegetables, tortillas, those are all affordable ingredients.
Yeah, for sure. So here we transition to the culinary demo, and what are you going to make for us today?
Today I'm going to make my favorite lunch, and it's no tuna salad, but Mexican style. We're going to make some tostadas with it.
Hey guys, if you are interested in having a consultation with me and actually see me one-on-one, the Chef Doc Lifestyle Medicine practice has partnered with Plant-Based Telehealth, and we offer lifestyle medicine consultations. So you'll be able to see me one-on-one, and I can go over your health history and seeing what we can do to fill in the gaps. We can talk about your physical health, anything from food to lifestyle to diet to setting up your kitchen to cooking preparation to grocery shopping to your mental health. I think it's important that we build our emotional resilience, to talking about your sleep and how to stay hydrated, and what are the best medicines if necessary, what are the best supplementations if necessary. And we do all this in a very concise manner, and it's a conversation. I take the time out to listen. I take the time out to really understand you from the ground up, and to look at all aspects of your physical, emotional, and mental health. And please, drop me a line, schedule an appointment if you want to see me one-on-one. And I am very, very looking forward to learning more about you. And again, thank you so much for visiting here at The Chef Doc.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite lunch ideas because it's super easy to make. So I have a can of chickpeas, and the reason why this works is I don't know what it is that the canned food, some of them have like similar flavors. So when you mash, and we're gonna mash the chickpeas, when you mash this chickpeas, it kind of gives you that little taste of canned tuna. And we're also gonna add some ground up nori to it to get it a little extra fishiness. So what you want to do is mash all of the chickpeas. Because also, I love chickpeas. They are full of protein. They're delicious. I add them to soups. I add them to stews. I love this salad. And this salad, I eat it with tostadas, or I also eat it, on a sandwich, like a tuna sandwich. So we're going to keep on mashing these beans. And I will tell you some of my favorite easy vegan Mexican recipes that I make. And one of my favorites is just tacos. I can make a taco out of anything, absolutely anything. But my favorite is mushrooms. Mushrooms just have such a meaty flavor, and you can marinate the mushrooms. I'll make like mushroom asada. I'll marinate it in garlic, oil, some paprika, and then I'll grill portobello mushrooms, and that'll be like my carne asada. Or I'll use mushrooms as a meat substitute in like pozole. Or there's a recipe, I have a recipe for birria, which is super popular right now. And birria is traditionally made with goat. And it's like a stew with spices and chiles. So instead of using goat, I use oyster mushrooms. And if you've never worked with oyster mushrooms, you can shred them, and they kind of look, like shredded meat. And that's, they bring such good umami and flavor to the dish. Let me see what else. And also in the summer, well, it's almost fall, but in the summer, I love making ceviches out of hearts of palm. I love also out of mushrooms. All right, so we are mashed. Doesn't have to be perfect, just mashed. And we are going to add onion. And then my onion, I don't like it when raw onion is like super strong. So to get some of that intensity out of the onion, I soak it in a little bit of water just for like 10 minutes. And that takes away some of that raw onion intensity. And that's about a quarter cup of onion. And I have about a cup of diced tomato. I'm going to add right here. I have one minced jalapeno. And if you want it spicy, leave the seeds in there. I never take the seeds out of the jalapeno, but if you're not into spicy food, then you can take off the seeds and the veins and it won't be as spicy. Then I'm going to add about a teaspoon of ground up nori. And this is the nori seaweed, the one that they use to make sushi. And you can buy already ground up, fancy seaweed. But this is just, you can probably find the sushi seaweed at the grocery store. And I put it in the blender and it becomes a little powder.
Great idea.
So I'm going to add a little bit. And this is going to make our little no tuna salad fishy, because seaweed has a very fishy flavor. So, I forgot my mayo. I'm going to go get it really quick.
As you're doing that, Dora, a common question that I get is, what is the chef's favorite way of cutting up an onion without crying?
Oh, that's contact lenses.
I was going to say lab goggles. I have safety goggles.
Contact lenses, yeah. No, but a really sharp knife helps. If your knife is really sharp, you won't cry as much. Okay, so I have about 1.5 teaspoons of mayo. You can also add, if you don't eat oil, you can add mashed up avocado instead. And then...
And is this regular mayo or is this a special kind of mayo?
This is vegan mayo. It's just like the Hellmann's has a vegan mayo now, and it's actually pretty good. And then I'm adding, you can add lime juice, but I like adding the liquid from the Mexican pickled jalapenos, the jalapenos en escabeche. And this is about 1 tablespoon. And this is going to make it a little bit more spicy, but it's going to add a really good acidity to it. So now you mix it all up, and I'm going to add just a tiny little bit of salt. Because the chickpeas, the canned chickpeas usually already come cooked in salt, and the liquid from the jalapeno brine is brine, so it also has salt, so you got to keep an eye on that. And so this is what it looks like. And tell me this doesn't look like tuna salad.
Yeah, it's like back in the day where you do the blindfold test for Coke and Pepsi. That blind test back in the day.
So how I like to eat it is either in a sandwich or in a tostada. So I have a baked tostada right here, and I'm going to put some spring greens, some lettuce, and then I'm going to put my no tuna salad on top. And you could eat it like this, or you could also top it with more slices of avocado, with a huge slice of pickled jalapeno pepper, or even with hot sauce. And there you go. It's a no tuna tostada.
Awesome. And we can go back to your face. Okay. Yes. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that quick presentation. It's beautiful. It's a shame I can't come over and I'm just gonna knock on your door.
Now you gotta make it now. You gotta make it.
Yeah. I definitely encourage the listeners and viewers to watch. All right. So Dora is going to explain to our viewers in Spanish why she does what she does. So take it away, Dora.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Dora, soy la chef Dora y yo nací y crecí en México y hace 7 años, debido a un problema de salud, me volví vegana y para mí fue difícil al principio porque ¿cómo era posible que iba a dejar el pozole de mi abuelita, mis tamales? Pero los beneficios a mi salud han sido tantos, el cambio en mi vida ha sido tan grande que mi misión con mi página, que en español se llama Mi Mero Mole, donde puedes encontrar recetas veganas y mexicanas. Mi misión es que tú veas y vengas a mi página y pruebes las recetas y veas que llevar una dieta basada en plantas no es difícil. No es difícil, es muy fácil. Son comidas, son platillos a los que ya conocemos. Las enchiladas pueden ser basadas en plantas, como la ensalada que acabo de hacer ahorita, una ensalada de atún a la mexicana, pero hecha con garbanzos. Hay muchas sustituciones muy fáciles que puedes aplicar a tu vida y que realmente va a cambiar tu vida. Y para nosotros, yo sé que la comida es algo muy especial, es una manera en la que compartimos nuestros recuerdos, nuestras celebraciones, es algo muy importante, especialmente cuando son recetas pasadas de nuestra abuelita a nosotros, de nuestros abuelitos, de nuestras tías. Pero para mí es muy importante que ustedes sepan que sí se puede ser mexicana, que sí se puede ser mexicana y vegana, y que no tenemos que dejar nuestra cultura, que no tenemos que dejar de ser lo que somos y al hacer ese cambio tan grande. Gracias.
Muchas gracias. So, we're coming to the end. Where can our audience members find you, find your recipes, find, all the different offerings that you have?
So my website is called dorastable.com, and that's in English. In Spanish, it's called Mi Mero Mole, and the web address is mmole.com, so like mole. Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to say a whole string of them. So you're like, oh man, I messed it up again.
There you can find my recipes in English and in Spanish. On social, you can find me across the board as @DorasTable, and in Spanish as Mi Mero Mole. I have an ebook. If you love tamales, it's an ebook called Vegan Tamales Unwrapped. It's available on Amazon. It's only in ebook form. It's also available in Spanish. And you can find more than 18 recipes, For vegan tamales, they're all vegan. There's also an option to make them oil-free if you're oil-free, and they're sweet and savory.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely leave it in the show notes so people can just click away and, get some of your wonderful, wonderful tamales and, also find your recipes on your blog site. So, Chef Dora, thank you so much. I think you're, making such a great waves, especially, for English and Spanish speaking, our audiences. And just another great contribution to the world. I don't know if that was the goal from the get-go, but in the world that we're living in, it very much is. So I thank you so much for taking the time out for spending with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. If you like this, please like, subscribe, and comment. And if you feel that this was a benefit for someone else, please let them know. And until then, please say goodbye to Chef Dora. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that episode. We hope that you enjoyed it. If you like this, please like, follow, and subscribe. And please follow us for the latest updates for this season 5. And if you feel that this was a benefit for someone else, please let them know. And please follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and YouTube. And thank you so much again. And we will see you on the next one.